What's going on? It's Astronaut H, and this is the What More Do You Want Network. Now, in this video, I will be discussing tonight's game between the Indiana Pacers and Chicago Bulls. Tonight's matchup was interesting. I will say that. Definitely a mix of two teams going in two different directions, if you ask me. Tonight was, I believe, the Bulls' fifth game of the season. So with all that being said, this is my Bulls report. The Bulls started out early. I'm talking about, offense was ready to go real early in this game, which I appreciated to see. Man movement, ball movement. They started off 3 from 3. They started off 3 from 3 early, and at one point we're 4 for 4 from 3. Bulls defense were causing turnovers. Zach LaVine was playing defense early. They was giving Vucevic a lot of early paint touches. The Bulls offense looked really, really good in the first few minutes of the game. I was thinking they were going to have like a little hangover from that game versus Boston when they came back. And when teams tend to exert as much energy for a comeback, even if it's a blowout win, it can take a lot out of a team. But the Bulls came out early. They struck hot against a pretty young, rebuilding Indiana Pacers team. So again, like I said, a lot of ball movement, a lot of man movement early. 15-point lead by the Bulls in the first quarter. I'm talking about after the first, they were up 11. They scored 38 points in the first quarter, which ultimately let me know how the game was going to go, right? So I'm like, the Bulls are going to just run away with this game. The Bulls are going to just put all the pressure on the Pacers to make plays. Now in the second, the Bulls start off the quarter. They get their largest lead of the game, and they go up 22. So at this point, I'm like, if it's going to be this type of game, then there's no need to, play a lot of minutes with the starters. Patrick Williams is aggressive early in the first half. I enjoyed seeing him get to the rim. I enjoyed him hitting the three. A lot of people expect Patrick Williams to be something else right about now in his career, and I think he still needs room to grow. I believe he still has ways to go in his career. Right now, being on the team with a Zach, being on the team with a DeMar, being on a team where the vocal point of the offense isn't you, it should give him leeway, right? So some people do expect Patrick Williams to be better than he currently is. For me, I'm okay where he's at, right? I'm okay where he's at currently. It's still early in the season. By halftime, the Bulls have 76 points, and they couldn't have played a better half of basketball, if you ask me. They lead by 19, and like I said, what more could you ask for? They played defense. A lot of paint touches for Vucevic. DeMar was getting to his spots. Zach was having a good half, but it was a quiet half. It was quiet. So I appreciated what I saw from the Bulls in the first half. On the other side of the spectrum, let's go to the second half. Bulls start the second half really sluggish, and this is where the Pacers make their run. Buddy Hield was getting open threes. Anybody that was wearing a Pacers jersey was getting an open three, basically, at the start of the second half. The Bulls started doing lackluster perimeter defense, the Achilles heel, as always, as I talk about every video. Perimeter defense and allowing guys to go straight from the three to the rim. They were allowing guys to get open shots. And in that, it was an early timeout by Billy Donovan. The Bulls started allowing the Pacers to creep back into the game slowly but surely. Pacers started hitting a lot of shots in the third. They get the lead down to 15. Now, at this point, I'm like, okay, the lead is at 15. Maybe Billy will shake it up. No, he left the same guys out there, and allowed the Bulls just to play their way out of it. But then the Pacers they kept hitting the three. They kept hitting the three. And the Pacers ended up going down 9 all off the 3 ball. They got the lead down to 9 points. The offense that was being played in the first half, I don't know what happened, but they stopped doing everything. Everybody started standing around, watching the ball, watching DeMar or watching Zach. And that's not what was going on in the first half. You had a lot of cutting. You had a lot of man movement. You had guys, slashing and things of that nature. And you can't, and I'm not going to say you can't, but when you have a big lead, you have to basically put teams away while you have the chance, especially against young, exciting teams. Well, not exciting, but young teams like the Indiana Pacers. They're playing for pride. They're playing for to show what their young core can do together. So the Bulls defense, gets shaky. And they go on a scoring drought, especially in the fourth quarter. This is me talking about the second half of the game. So the Bulls go on a scoring drought in the second half, mainly in the fourth quarter. And, they allow the Pacers to get really, really close. They start turning the ball over and things of that nature. Now, granted, the Bulls scored 38 in the first quarter, 38 in the second quarter, and scored 27 points in the third. And 21 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, when you look at the box score, I'm going to break it down. Patrick Williams had 10. DeMar DeRozan had 17. Vucevic had 14 and 7. Zach LaVine had 28 and 6 and 5. Ayo, who played great tonight, had 12, 4 and 7. Dragic off the bench played really, really well, especially on the minutes when him and Drummond was out there together. He had 13 and 5 assists. A really, really good alley-oop to Javonte Green. That was the pass. When I say the pass was so on point, all Javonte had to do was go up and just slam it right on in. It was a beautiful pass. You seen Kobe out there get some good minutes. Drummond out there with 13 rebounds. I like the dynamic of after Vucevic comes out and then Drummond comes in. You don't lose. You don't lose that proverbial rim protector and shot blocker and rebounder. So I feel like the Bulls played a great game tonight. They had their missteps. They had their moments during the game where I'm not gonna say I wouldn't have had it that way, but again, it's growing pains. You've seen them in games where they were down big and they came back, and you've seen them in games where they were up big and they allowed teams to come back. So what I will say about tonight, if I was to give the game an overall grade, I would say they played one good half of basketball. The second half, they just basically moseyed through. So in the second half, but talking about the game altogether, I would say the Bulls played a B+ game. It could have been worse. It could have been much worse, but I still feel like they have holes, especially in the defensive area, especially on the perimeter when guys giving up lackadaisical effort. It's all about effort. It's all, especially on defense. We know Zach LaVine can score. We know DeMar DeRozan can score. We know Vucevic can, get to his spots down low, but we also want the defense by the same players, these all-star players. These guys are who the team follows. So again, man, I enjoyed the game tonight. Like I said, the Bulls are now 3-2, one game above 500. The season is a long one. I don't expect the Bulls to be undefeated. I expect them, to come out and compete. So Friday, they have the San Antonio Spurs, and they will be at San Antonio. Of course, I'm going to give my boys a report after that game. It's Astronaut H. This is the What More Do You Want Network. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can know anytime a video is being uploaded to this channel. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.